Zella here again for Small Business Digest, and we have from Italy a guest that I've been looking forward to because she I met her and her mother and her sister at a wine tasting several years ago. Their wine is wonderful. People tell me it is. I'm not a wine connoisseur, but she's here to talk about uh, how she now leads the winery, and she's doing it. People also tell me very well in an industry that doesn't exactly welcome women leaders. Now, I know her first name is Francesca, but even though I'm Italian American, I'm going to butcher her last name. So I'm going to ask her to tell us her last name, and you can rest assured I'm going to call her Francesca for the rest of the show.
No, my name is Francesca Mecchia, and my mom's surname is Petrussa. So is the name of our winery.
Okay. Well, Francesca, welcome to the program. First, tell
Thank
us a little
you.
bit about your personal background and how you came to be running a vineyard.
Okay, so I'm Francesca. Thank you very much for having me here. I'm from Italy. I grew up in a small town near Venice, and my family always had a winery. And my grandfather before was run by my grandfather, but he died when my mom was young. So my grandmother was managing the winery that is in another region, like an hour away from the place where I grew up, and she was struggling a bit. So every weekend we are going there to support her and help her with her business. Then when I was 18 years old, I moved to Florence and I started to study architecture. And I was living there for 6 years. Then I was feeling a little bit interest in discovering other reality, other cultures. And so I moved to London, where I've been working as an architect for different practice. And for a long time, like 10 years, I've been working for a big company designing their stores and traveling around the world because I was one of the responsible of the expansion of this company. And then I moved to Spain as well. Then I came back to London. And after 12 years moving abroad, living abroad, I moved back to Italy. But I moved back with a husband and two small kids. So I had to replan my life and reorganize my priority. So at the beginning, I started to carry on to work as an architect. But at the same time, my mother was running the business by herself. So she really needed some support. So at the beginning, I was helping her mainly in some activities like events or wine tasting. And then bit by bit, now I'm more concentrate, like 90% of my time is concentrate on the winery business. And then at 10%, I still do works as an architect. And so what I like, if you want, I can carry on, or if you have some special question, I can carry on.
You're doing a wonderful job. Keep going. So you gradually got into the business. So now it's you and your mother.
And so now I do represent the third generation of women producing wine in our family. And I like this job very much because it's very creative, coming from an architectural background where you dream to design and create something special. The wine is exactly the same. You have the chance to create your own wine, the wine that represents your philosophy of life, that represent the land where you are from, and represent as well what you think of a wine, if it needs to be more delicate, more intense, and then is something special. Like if you design a house or a shop, you design a special place where the people are enjoying and spending their time. When you create a wine if you think every time that you open a glass of wine is for special occasion, or if you have a dinner with friends, an aperitivo with friends, with clients, with family, with lovers, and so you open a bottle of wine in a special occasion. And so for us, it's like exciting opportunity to be there in these special occasions. So I think that is a very magical context. Of course, it's been hard to be a woman in this business. And I think that for my grandmother, was even tougher than for me, because as I was saying before, my grandfather died and left my grandmother with two daughters. They were on their 18 years old. And so she decided to take over. But the area where the winery, so Friuli Venezia Giulia, is on the border, like 500 meters from the Slovenian border. So this area has always been a crossing of different cultures and different a passing of different cultures and different words and different how do you say, population that was controlling the area. And this create like a very tough and strong but close attitude of the people coming from there. So being alone in the wine business in the middle of nowhere, because it's a quite isolated place, without being able to ask for help, and understanding that she needed to have some supports, she was struggling a lot. And I think at the beginning, she probably didn't even like the decision that she had, instead of selling, to carry on with her work. And so for this reason, we're going back and forward to visit her and supporting her. And then in our family, there were no any male, any guys or any cousins, brother, that could help. And so, yeah, I think that she was a very tough one, a hard worker, but very close in her environment and her life. Then came my mom. She was elementary teacher. And then suddenly, I think with the middle-age crisis, she decided that she wanted to do something different, to dedicate her life to what is being always part of herself. So the winery. So she left the previous job and she concentrated on the wine production. And of course, there was already a different situation and a different type of environment, but was still a business that was dominating in that area in particular by male producer of wine. So at the beginning, they were thinking, it's a woman. Yeah, she produces wine just for hobby, nothing serious. And so she put a lot of effort to be respected and to be considered, as a professional wine producer, somebody that knows how to create, how to manage, all the different phases of a winery. And then now it's me, and of course, now there are a lot of women involved in wine production, and there is a community that is called, like a society that is called Donne del Vino, and so women in wine. And this really help, the community of wine producer to have more strength and to be listened and considered like proper professionals.
Well, what I'd like to ask you now, you came back to Italy. Now you're involved in this. And by the way, first, give us your website for your winery, and you also, I understand, have a website here in the United States. So can you give us both of them?
Okay, so the website of our winery is Vignaapetrussa, Vignaapetrussa, TRUSSA.IT. And then our wine are sold by Sheila Dundee in Vero Vino Gusto. So it's VERO VINOGUSTO.com.
I'm so glad I have to ask people, and I forgot to ask you to spell it out. I'm so glad you did, and we're going to ask you for it once or twice more. But now, is that a picture of yourself and your mother behind you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And this is
Okay.
our vineyard. As
Okay.
we are quite small, so we treat the vineyard like a garden. As you can see, looks like more like a garden than a proper business environment.
Well, just briefly, what is the specialty of your wine? I mean, is it for lovers, as you said, or for family occasions? Well, what do you blend your wines for?
I think that they are special because they is a mix of our personality and the characteristic of our land. And we are mainly focusing indigenous wine. This went through all the different phases. At the beginning, we had a lot of variety, international variety, but now we try to concentrate in what is typical from our area. And I would say that we have wines that are for everyday occasion, and then we have special wine and our signature wines that are more for special dinner or special occasion, I would say.
Okay. Well, now you're involved in the business. Do you want to bring your two children into the business as another generation?
I don't have any female. I have two boys. So with me, there are because I'm the only child. There are no any female generation after. They are quite young now because they are 11 and 13. So probably it's a little bit too early to know if they want to be involved. They love it. They really enjoy the countryside, and they really start to appreciate, the smell of the wine, us mixing and discussing about what we want and what we see and what we smell inside of a glass. So I think that they will always have a love. I don't know if they will be involved, but they will always have a love for this type of business.
Well, what are some of the problems? We talk a lot about winemaking, etc. What are some of the problems you face as a vineyard? I mean, is it distribution? Is it quality? What are some of the issues that you've overcome over the last couple of years?
Yes, with the pandemic, the market is totally different. I think that everybody is different, after this pandemic. So we are not acting as we were acting 2 years ago. For us, the most difficult part is the connection with the clients, the old one and the new one. Wine is for sharing, is to taste together and discuss and discover about, our history and our our creation. And now, everything is done online. So on one side, I spend hours doing wine tasting online, but sometimes the wine tasting online is missing we are Italian, so as you can see, I move my hands and we have a body language.
Too, okay.
We have a body language, and you don't see how, like in particular, my mother hands are the example of a hard work in the vineyard. You don't see our eyes shining while we describe, what we are doing. So that is very difficult. And the people now, they like to have and taste different wines. Why before they knew you and they were ordering like 10 cases from one winery. Now the business is like, okay, consider that I don't go out. I would like to have 2 cases from this winery, 2 cases from from France, 2 cases from Spain. And so you need to expand your portfolio. And on the other side, sometimes the wine tasting, when I do the professional wine tasting, because sometimes we have even events where we discuss, with wine lovers, is they don't taste the wine with you. They listen at your story, but then they always wait for another colleague or another moment to open the bottles and have a technical selection or evaluation of your products. So they will forget what you said, while when they are going to drink it. But on the other side, because we always need to be positive, being stuck in a house and being stuck, in one place, okay, we don't travel. That is something that I really miss, because it's something that I love, to meet people, to, expand and connect with other people, other cultures, is that you can reach places where probably we're not even planning to go. So we decided to participate to some Japanese selection of wine. And we've been able last year to, we won 2 gold medals and 2 silver medals in a market that we were not considering to expand. And so in a certain way, we managed to discover other type of markets and other type of clients. But here is coming, that is challenging when you're used to sell mainly in the Italian market, and then you want to expand without traveling. Then you need to try to discover more and more about the other culture, what they like and what they expect from you, and how do you have to communicate with them as well. So that is something that I'm learning day by day.
Well, how do you do an online wine tasting?
So there are different type of events. With Sheila, so with Vero Vino Gusto, sometimes there are some wine lovers, and everybody gets the bottle. We tend to do when it's lunchtime, so that people can have either their break if they are working, or they can taste the wine with food, and so we discuss. They ask question, and it's more like a friend dinner, a dinner between friends where there is a lot of exchange of information. Then there are the formal one. No, and then with Sheila we did as well with an Italian guy that has a beautiful restaurants in California. While he was cooking, he was preparing one dish to pair with one of our wines. So there are different combinations. When it's professional, you send the wine. You have 10 minutes to present it, yourself, your story, your winery, and then you carry on describing the wine while they are tasting. But not everybody, like in Japan, I've done recently a wine tasting in Japan, they always wait for the colleagues, or they always wait to be by themselves. To try to, they listen, they take a lot of notes, but they always wait a different moment to taste the wine. They never do at the same time while I'm talking.
Are you coming over for the first wine event of the that I've seen in 2 years is coming? Are you coming over in? I think it's April.
No,
that?
we decide not to travel because it's still very very complicated to travel, and we don't know if at these events, like we have the Vinitaly, is still not confirmed, so we don't know if the people will come there because it is a long trip with a long economical investment. We still wait. We were planning to go to China, but China is already changing because Vinitaly was organizing an event in China. It's already the 4th time that they are changing the dates. And anyway, we cannot travel. We cannot get into China.
Okay. We have just Francesca. We just had your two websites again for our audience, please.
So, what do you want to give? Like some tips or some?
Tell our audience and spell out your two websites.
The two websites. Sorry. Okay. So Vignaapetrussa.it. So VIGNAPETRUSSA.it, and verovinogusto.com is VIROVIOGUSTO.com.
We have just a couple of minutes left. What would you like to leave our audience with?
Something that I learned from my experience is always follow your dream. You always need to believe in what you're doing, but sometimes don't get stubborn if your the option that you choose or your dream is not getting through. You can find other ways, or anyway, you can have other opportunity in other business.
Okay, well, on that note, we have to say, Francesca, thank you for a very enjoyable time together.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me here.